We turn now to Alabama. The state Senate there just passed the most restrictive abortion law in the country, effectively banning all abortions in that state, including in cases of rape and incest. Those performing abortions in Alabama could face up to 99 years in prison. So far, in all, Alabama has company. There they are. 29 states have introduced abortion restrictions so far this year. Joining me now from Montgomery, Alabama, NBC's Kerry Sanders, and in Huntsville, Josh Moon, a reporter and columnist with the Alabama Political Reporter. Kerry, I'll start with you. Just bring us up to speed if you can. What does this measure mean, and do we know whether the governor there is going to sign it?
We do not know whether the governor is going to sign it, Craig. She is a Republican, and she has not commented publicly, but all indications are the bill that was passed right here last night will be signed by the governor. She has 6 days to sign it. Now, currently, the structure in our modern times is still a little old school. They don't just email the bill to her. It actually has to be physically taken to her office. It has not been delivered to her office yet, as best we understand. The governor is not in her office right now. She is currently at an event which is completely unrelated to this bill. But what this law, if it becomes law in Alabama, will do, as you noted, will be the most restrictive in the country. Among the, what some people believe should have been included because there were amendments, were suggestions that there be exceptions for incest and rape. That was not included. It was debated right here on the floor, but ultimately was not included. And another thing that makes it somewhat different from those bills that we have seen in other states is that while, for instance, in Georgia, life begins the moment a fetal heartbeat is actually detected. In this case, in Alabama, the law is what some would argue is nebulous on purpose, because it says that an abortion is restricted the moment a woman discovers that she is pregnant. So that would happen weeks or months, because it's up to each woman to determine with their doctor or on their own whether they are indeed pregnant or not. The reason those who wrote the bill did it this way, they say, is because they want to get it to the Supreme Court in the United States and have the Supreme Court, rather than legislators, determine the moment life begins. And so while you, as I pointed out, Georgia has a different version of this, their general belief is that this Alabama law, the most restrictive, is likely to be the one, Craig, that makes it before the U.S. Supreme Court for a determination, which is ultimately a challenge to the 1973 law, Roe v. Wade.
Josh, let me bring you into the conversation here, and I'll share for our viewers and read for our listeners on Sirius Satellite Radio the headline from your column this morning. Stop telling people, rather, that Alabama is better than this. It's not. Walk us through your take on this late night vote.
Yeah, first of all, the governor is absolutely going to sign this. Yeah. I mean, it's just a foregone conclusion here. This is a Republican plan. She's a Republican governor. They know what's going to happen here. This was all lined up well before this session ever started. No one in Alabama wrote this bill. The bill is way too smart for our people to have written it. So, you know, that's where we are with this. This is all a ploy. This is all a ploy for us to get our name attached to some sort of a bill that possibly overturns Roe v. Wade. This is the dream of our legislators here, to apparently force 12-year-old girls to carry rape babies to term. Why this is what we do, I don't know, but this is who we are. I mean, we have a number of people who continue to tell everyone, "Oh, we're better than this." These people in Alabama are our people care more and love each other more. And it's just we prove time and time again that that's just simply not the case. We do these awful things all of the time. And I'm sick of hearing people tell everyone that we're better than this. The fact is, our actions say we're not better than this.
What kind of local reaction is this ban getting in Alabama so far? What are people on the ground saying?
Well, I think that you'll have two different factions. You'll have a vocal minority, a very small minority of people who are outraged by what's taking place here. And, and you saw a lot of them outside of the State House yesterday. And there'll be some of those. But the majority of this state is right on board with this. The majority of this state elected these people based on, in part, their pledges to go into to state government and overturn Roe v. Wade and protect the unborn. This is the reality of where we live.
All right. Josh, thank you. Kerry Sanders, thank you as well. I want to bring in Alabama Democratic State Senator Linda Coleman Madison. She is one of 6 state senators who voted against this plan. Senator, first of all, just your reaction to the ban. What will it mean for the women of Alabama?
Well, I'm appalled. I think it's a setback for the women of Alabama, not only the women of Alabama, but the women of the whole United States. We fought so long for the rights that we have, and now these rights are slowly being taken away from us. But this is the most precious type of right that we have, the right to govern your own body and decide what you will do and to make those decisions about your own health.
As I understand it, there is an amendment that you proposed that would have provided prenatal and medical care to mothers, but it failed. Why?
It did. Well, we say this bill is about pro-life. We say that it is about the sanctity of life and protecting and helping people to be grow up to be nurtured. This bill simply said that, okay, if you are going to force this woman to have this child, irrespective of the fact that all the issues about her mental state of mind or whether she would keep a child if she had been raped, certainly it takes a lot of support. So this amendment would have added the stipulation that if she is forced to have this child, the state would pay for prenatal care, give support to that woman up until age 13 of that child, and if prescribed by her doctor that she needs to have psychological or other medical care, that the state would provide for that. That was voted down in spite of the fact that you just said that you wanted this woman to be protected, you wanted justice for her, you wanted to give her support. That statement was made prior to me introducing that amendment.
If the governor signs this bill, as she is expected to do, according to our reporter that we just had on here from Alabama, what's the next step? How do you plan to fight this?
Well, right now, the fight is really going to be at the Supreme Court. We understand the intent of this bill is not about pro-life. It's about taking away the choice. It's really about control. And I'm wondering what's going to happen next. As we look at the Supreme Court, it goes there, and the intent is to reverse Roe versus Wade. If that happens, then this becomes the supreme law of the land in the state of Alabama. And of course, every other state will be looking at Alabama's law and taking the pattern to pass similar laws. So this is going to be a constant rollback of other rights, slowly chipping away. But I think that there's a silent majority, a sleeping elephant, those women who believe in protecting their rights and protecting the rights of their children, in particular females. So it has unintended consequences that I don't think the sponsors have thought about.
Well, where were those women in Alabama during this debate? Why weren't they able to defeat this bill?
Well, we are in the minority. There are 4 women in the Alabama State Senate. I think there are 18 women in the House. So we are in the minority. We are a majority-led, male-dominated legislative body. Most of these bills that are introduced originally, when they first came down, they were introduced by men. Several years ago, we had the probing bill, all about the abortion rights of women, and this was introduced by a male. And the whole intent was that we want the woman to see what this fetus looks like. We want her to be probed. So I'm like, do you understand what no means? To me, this is rape again all over. And so it is a violation of a woman's rights. It is invasion of her body. And they were willing to strap her down and probe her to make her look at this infant on this, this screen to say that maybe you'll change your mind now. So this is not the first time that we have fought this battle. But until women mobilize, until men understands that you are talking about your wife, possibly your mother, your child, your daughter, and understand that this has long-term ramifications and really feel it personally. I think that's the only way that it's going to really hit home.
Linda Coleman Madison, Alabama State Senator. Thank you for your time.